With a tilt of his head, he peered deeper, his curiosity piqued. Lowering his snout to the ground, he began to sniff intently. Smith watched, bewildered by his canine companion's strange behavior. There was an unmistakable sense that Kyle had stumbled upon something significant. Firmly planted in the soil, he refused to budge, as if duty-bound to investigate further. Intrigued by this unexpected turn of events, Smith decided to unravel the mystery. He meticulously broke down the fallen tree, piece by piece, in an effort to reveal what lay beneath. As the truth unveiled itself before him, he shook his head in disbelief. The Smith family had instantly fallen in love with Kyle when they first laid eyes on the retired service dog. They showered him with love and treated him as a cherished member of their family. Together, they ventured into the woods, allowing Kyle to revel in the joy of chasing local wildlife. But on this particular day, something seemed amiss. Kyle's behavior had taken a peculiar turn. He displayed signs of restlessness and a relentless quest for something unknown. Having been adopted by the Smiths after 2 unsuccessful attempts, Kyle's previous life as a police dog had left him with exceptional scent detection skills. However, his gentle nature often clashed with his past training, requiring patient guidance from his new partner, John, to balance his aggression. Soon Kyle was ready to protect his partner with his life. Service dogs are normally paired with more than one officer, but Kyle bonded to John and wouldn't listen to anyone else. The two shared a real bond and were on permanent duty together. John wished he could keep Kyle once he retired, but unfortunately, because of his long shifts, he couldn't give Kyle the attention he deserved. When the Smiths adopted Kyle, he got along with them well. He got plenty of exercise with them, and the family was happy to have him protecting them. Kyle was enjoying his time as a retired service dog until one day. The Smiths lived in a house on the countryside. This meant that Kyle had plenty of space to run around until they found something. The family had bought the house thinking of Kyle. They needed to provide space for him to stretch his legs. Surrounding the house were plenty of green fields, woods, and many more places for Kyle to explore. Thomas Smith would take Kyle on a walk every single day, but then they made a startling discovery. Kyle loved nothing more than going on his walks, but one day he just started losing interest. He didn't want to go on his walks like he used to. Thomas could normally get Kyle out of bed, and would follow, but Kyle just didn't want to go outside. Thomas assumed that Kyle's strange behavior was due to the new environment and that he just had to get used to it. But after a few more weeks passed, he was still the same as always. Thomas knew he had to do something for his new dog. Maybe it was what he was eating. They changed food brands and even changed his dog bed. They thought that maybe he needed a more comfortable bed for his old joints. No matter what they tried, nothing seemed to do the trick. They'd only find out the problem on their next walk. Kyle lost interest in his food now, and he didn't know what he could do for his dog. They'd only moved because of Kyle. Why did his behavior change? Thomas decided to take Kyle to the vet to get him checked out, but when the results came back, the vet told Thomas that Kyle was perfectly healthy and was still in excellent condition. When Thomas voiced his concerns about Kyle's new behavior and his lack of energy, the vet was puzzled as well. Smith had brought Kyle on this route before, but when they started to veer off their usual trail to explore, that's when Smith noticed something off about Kyle. The change was drastic and sudden. This was the longest time Kyle had been out of the city, but today something had changed. Kyle's hackles rose slightly as he picked up speed, jerking the lead from Thomas' hands as he ran into the woods and out of sight. For a while now, Kyle had begun to act a little out of character, but on this walk he suddenly perked his ears up, and Smith saw Kyle for the first time as the police dog used to be. Driven by his training, Kyle's snout worked tirelessly, diligently following a scent trail that guided him to a tree. Sniffing was a beloved pastime for Kyle during walks, but his keen senses could detect anything out of the ordinary. Thomas, puzzled by Kyle's peculiar behavior, called out to him, yet Kyle remained frozen in place. Attempting to entice him with favorite treats, Thomas hoped to coax him to move, but Kyle's determination and discipline prevailed, displaying a stubbornness that perplexed and slightly annoyed Thomas. Uncertain about the situation, Thomas reached out to John, Kyle's former partner. The call from Kyle's new owner stirred John's heart, filled with concern. Had Kyle fallen ill? Thomas explained that whenever Kyle discovered a lead during their investigations, he would sit and wait nearby. Hearing that Kyle was currently sitting at the base of a tree made John anxious, wondering what could be lurking within or nearby that prompted Kyle's warning. Deep within the woods, far from any passerby, John explained to Smith that Kyle was trained to react this way upon detecting an unusual or dangerous scent. With caution, he instructed Smith to investigate the tree, but warned of potential danger. Approaching the tree, Smith noticed the loose bark. Realizing it wasn't drugs, he refrained from disturbing the crime scene and avoided touching it again. Swiftly, he dialed John's number, the only person he could think to report the discovery to, his hands trembling. Disturbed and incredulous, John swiftly gathered forensic experts, and together they raced to the scene upon seeing the familiar cruisers. Kyle couldn't contain his excitement, running towards John for a tear-inducing reunion. After a warm greeting, John focused on the matter at hand and approached the tree. Peering inside, his eyes widened in confirmation of what Thomas had described. A horrifying sight. Backup was necessary. Kyle had led them to a hidden skeleton concealed within the tree. As the remains were delicately extracted, a hushed silence filled the air. Who had they discovered? It was as if a switch had been flipped and Kyle returned to his usual self. Thomas observed the profound bond between Kyle and John. Officer John felt overwhelmed when he stumbled upon the concealed remains within the hollow tree, but before he could contact the station, someone intervened. To their relief, the skeleton turned out to be a life-size fake. Laughter erupted, but the mystery remained. Why would Kyle alert them to such a situation? He had been trained to distinguish between threatening and non-threatening scents. Then it struck them. Kyle simply wanted to be with John. His recent behavior hinted at loneliness, a longing for his best friend and former partner. Kyle had been gazing at John ever since his arrival, and now it dawned on John that the skeleton might have been a mere diversion. Recalling their years of working together, John remembered one foolproof way to capture his attention. Kyle must have known that sitting and barking was the surest method to make John hasten to his side, just as he had been trained to do. Kneeling down, John affectionately scratched Kyle's head, locking eyes with him. It was clear that Kyle's signal held a secret message, a longing to reunite with the partner he deeply missed. The ache in Kyle's heart had driven him to find a way to see John again. Despite the physical distance, Kyle remained loyal, holding memories of their past days working together close to his heart. John, captivated by Kyle's unwavering love and devotion, decided to linger at the scene, savoring precious moments with his ex-partner. As they strolled through the serene woods, alone but content, John witnessed the pure joy emanating from Kyle. Before parting ways, John made a heartfelt promise to visit Kyle as frequently as possible. Looking back at him, he couldn't help but burst into laughter, seeing Kyle's wagging tail, goofy grin, and exuberant leaps of happiness. Kyle's lethargy and lack of enthusiasm vanished entirely in John's presence. He was a transformed dog. Though guilt and a twinge of pain struck John's heart, he knew deep down that reuniting with Kyle was the right decision, rekindling their bond and bringing immeasurable happiness to both of them. Thomas accompanied John, chuckling at Kyle's antics and the chaos he created. In that moment, John realized the brilliance of the old pup. This tale showcases the underestimated intelligence of dogs, as sometimes they possess the wit to rescue an entire family.